My name is Elijah. I'm 104 years old, and for the past 60 years, I have lived by 5 simple rules. I didn't write them down. I didn't learn them from a book. I learned them slowly by watching what happens when you ignore them. People think a long life is built from something complicated, some secret, some special discipline. But when you live as long as I have, you start to see patterns, not in theory, in people. You see who holds together and who slowly falls apart. You see what habits bring peace and which ones quietly steal it. These 5 rules didn't come to me all at once. They came from mistakes, from regret, from moments where I realized something simple could have changed everything. The first rule I followed every day is this: start your day before the world starts pulling at you. When I was a younger man, 30s, maybe early 40s, my mornings belonged to everything except me. Work, phone calls, responsibilities waiting the moment I opened my eyes. I would wake up already behind, already thinking about what needed to be done. And that feeling carried through the whole day, rushed, reactive, never quite settled. One morning I woke up earlier than usual. The house was quiet, no noise, no demands, no one asking anything from me. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and just existed for a few minutes. And I noticed something. I felt calm, not because my life was simple, because for a short moment it was undisturbed. That morning changed something. From that day forward, I began waking up earlier, not dramatically, just enough to have time that belonged only to me. Time to think, time to sit quietly, time to prepare my mind before the world started asking for it. That small habit became the foundation of my days. Because if you don't claim your morning, the day will claim you. And once your mind starts in a rush, it rarely slows down. The second rule I followed is this: move your body every day, even when you don't feel like it. I have never been a man of intense exercise, no heavy routines, no complicated systems, but I have always moved, walked, stretched, used my body in simple, steady ways. There were days when I didn't feel like it, cold mornings, tired afternoons, times when sitting felt easier, but I learned something early. If you wait until you feel like moving, you won't move often enough. Movement is not about motivation. It's about consistency. And consistency keeps the body alive. I've seen men younger than me lose their strength not because they were sick, but because they stopped moving. They sat more, walked less, and slowly the body followed that pattern. The body listens to what you do daily, not what you plan to do. At 104, my movement is slower, but it is still there, every day, and that has made all the difference. The third rule I followed is this: keep your word, especially the small ones. People think integrity is about big promises, big moments, but it isn't. It's about the small things you say every day. I'll call you back. I'll be there at a certain time. I'll take care of this. Those small promises shape how people trust you. But more importantly, they shape how you trust yourself. When you break your own word repeatedly, even in small ways, you begin to lose something inside. A kind of quiet confidence. You stop believing yourself, and that affects everything. For 60 years, I tried to do something simple. If I said I would do something, I did it. Not perfectly, but consistently. And over time, that created something valuable: stability, not just in how others saw me, in how I saw myself. The fourth rule I followed is this: do not carry unnecessary weight. Now, I don't mean physical weight. I mean emotional weight, resentment, old arguments, things people said years ago that you still replay in your mind. I carried those things when I was younger, longer than I should have. I will remember something someone did and feel it all over again, as if it had just happened. But over time, I noticed something. The people I was holding on to had already moved on. They were not carrying the same weight. Only I was. And that realization changed me. I began letting things go sooner, not because people always deserve forgiveness, because I deserve peace. Holding on to everything makes life heavier than it needs to be, and a heavy life is hard to carry for a long time. The fifth rule, that one came later, and it changed everything about how I live my days. But that one needs a little more time. The fifth rule did not come to me when I was young. It did not come in my 40s, when I first began shaping my life with more intention. It came later, after I had already lived through enough to understand what lasts and what quietly disappears. The fifth rule is this: give your attention to what is in front of you, not what is missing. That may sound simple, but it is one of the hardest things to practice consistently. When I was younger, my attention was always leaning forward, toward what I did not yet have: a better position, more stability, more time, more money, more recognition. There was always something just ahead of where I stood, and I believed, without saying it out loud, that once I reached those things, I would finally feel settled. But life does not work that way, because the moment you reach one thing, something else appears. The mind is very good at finding what is still missing, and if you follow that pattern long enough, you can spend decades chasing a feeling that never quite arrives. I remember a period in my early 50s when everything, on the surface, looked stable. Work was steady, the house was paid off, my children were grown enough to take care of themselves. By all accounts, I had reached the point I had been working toward. But something felt off. Not wrong, just incomplete. And I realized something uncomfortable. I had spent so many years focusing on what was next that I had never learned how to sit with what already was. That realization stayed with me. It didn't change me overnight, but it began shifting where I placed my attention. Instead of always asking, what's next, I began asking, what's here? What is here right now? A conversation, a quiet meal, a moment of rest. Things that would have felt ordinary to my younger self. But ordinary things, when you pay attention to them, begin to feel different. They begin to feel like life itself. This rule changed the way I experience time, because time feels different depending on where your attention is. When your attention is always in the future, the present feels like something to get through. But when your attention rests in the present, even briefly, time feels fuller, slower in a good way, more complete. I started noticing small things: the way the house sounded in the early morning, the rhythm of my footsteps when I walked, the tone of someone's voice when they spoke to me. These are not dramatic moments, but they are real. And reality is where life actually happens, not in plans, not in expectations, in moments. There was another part of this rule that took me even longer to understand. It's not just about noticing what is present. It's about not constantly measuring it against what you think it should be. Comparison is a quiet habit. You compare your life to others, your progress, your situation, and that comparison slowly pulls your attention away from what you have. I saw this in many people over the years. Men who had built stable lives but felt dissatisfied because someone else had built something bigger. People who had families, health, and time, but focused on what they lacked instead. That pattern does not lead to peace. It leads to restlessness. And restlessness is difficult to carry for a lifetime. So I stopped comparing as much as I could, not perfectly, but intentionally. I began measuring my life differently, not by how it looked next to someone else's, but by how it felt to live it. That shift changed everything, because a life can look ordinary from the outside and still feel meaningful from the inside. And it is the inside that you live with every day, not the outside. By the time I reached my 70s, these 5 rules had settled into something steady. They were no longer things I had to remind myself to follow. They had become habits, ways of moving through the day. And I began noticing something interesting. Life did not become easier. Problems still appeared. Loss still came. Unexpected changes still happened. But I moved through those things differently, more steadily, less reactive, more grounded. Because these rules created a kind of foundation, not a perfect one, but a reliable one. I woke up before the world rushed in. I moved my body, even when I didn't feel like it. I kept my word, especially in small things. I let go of what I didn't need to carry, and I gave my attention to what was actually in front of me. Those habits may not look impressive from the outside, but over 60 years, they shaped everything. And by the time I reached my 90s, I understood something even deeper. These rules were not just habits. They were a way of protecting my peace. But there is something else I need to say, something that matters just as much as the rules themselves. Because following them is one thing. Understanding why they matter is something else entirely. By the time I reached my 90s, those 5 rules were no longer things I thought about. They had become the way I lived, quietly, without effort. And when something becomes part of you like that, you begin to see what it has truly done. Not in one moment, but across many years. People often look at a long life and assume it was shaped by big decisions, big opportunities, big turning points. But that is not what I see when I look back at mine. I see repetition, small choices made again and again, days that felt ordinary at the time, but built something steady over decades. These 5 rules did not change my life overnight. They changed the direction of my days, and direction, repeated long enough, becomes a life. The first rule, starting my day before the world, gave me something I didn't understand at first. It gave me ownership. When you wake up and immediately respond to everything around you, your day is already shaped by other people's needs, other people's urgency, other people's expectations. But when you begin the day quietly, even for a short time, you create a kind of center, a place where your thoughts settle before the world begins pulling at them. Over 60 years, that small habit created a steadiness in me. I was not easily thrown off by the day's demands, not because life was calm, because I had already found my calm before it began. The second rule, moving my body every day, gave me something more than strength. It gave me continuity. The body changes as the years pass. There's no avoiding that. But when you keep moving, even in small ways, you maintain a relationship with your body. You stay familiar with it. You notice changes early. You adjust. I have seen many men reach their 70s and begin to feel disconnected from their own bodies, as if something they once controlled has become distant. That did not happen to me, not because I was stronger, because I stayed engaged every day, even when it was slow, even when it was simple. Movement kept me part of my own life. The third rule, keeping my word, did something deeper than I expected. It built trust, but not just with other people, with myself. When you keep your word consistently, even in small things, you begin to believe in your own reliability. You stop second guessing your own intentions. You stop making promises you cannot keep. You become steady. And steady people move through life differently. They are not constantly repairing broken trust. They are not constantly explaining themselves. They carry a quiet confidence that comes from alignment between what they say and what they do. That alignment is rare, and it becomes more valuable as time goes on. The fourth rule, letting go of unnecessary weight, may have saved me the most, because life gives you many opportunities to carry things, grudges, old pain, disappointments. If you collect all of them, your life becomes heavy, and a heavy life is exhausting. I learned to release things sooner, not immediately. I'm not pretending I never held on to anything, but sooner. I would feel the anger, the hurt, and then at some point I would decide I am not carrying this any further. That decision protected my peace, and peace over many years becomes more valuable than being right. The fifth rule, giving attention to what is in front of you, changed how I experienced time itself. When you are young, time feels long, stretching, expandable. But as you age, time feels different. It moves faster. Not because the days are shorter, because you realize how many have already passed. And when you understand that, attention becomes precious. Where you place it determines what your life feels like. If your attention is always on what is missing, your life will feel incomplete, no matter how much you have. But if your attention rests, even briefly, on what is present, your life begins to feel fuller, even in ordinary moments. At 104, my days are simple. I wake up early, I sit quietly, I move slowly, I speak less than I used to. But what I feel now is something I did not feel when I was younger. Enough. Not everything, just enough. Enough peace, enough understanding, enough acceptance of what life is, not what I once thought it should be. These 5 rules did not make my life perfect. They made it livable, sustainable. They gave me a way to move through the years without constantly feeling lost or overwhelmed. And if I could say one thing to someone younger, it would not be to copy these rules exactly. It would be to understand what they represent. They are not about discipline. They are about alignment. Living in a way that does not fight against yourself every day. Because the truth is, life is long. Longer than you think when you are young. And anything you do every day, becomes who you are. At 104, I am not thinking about what I will build next. I am thinking about what I have already built, not in terms of things, but in terms of how my days felt as I lived them. And I can say this, quietly and honestly, those 5 simple rules gave my life more peace than anything else I ever tried. Not because they were powerful, because they were consistent. And consistency, over time, becomes something very close to wisdom. If this meant something to you, then you already understand more than you think.